Been married 11 years, together for almost 13. No kids, just 2 dogs and a mortgage. You could say we had a good marriage, nothing picture perfect. But we laughed, we fought fair, usually, and I genuinely thought we had something solid. She's always been a bit intense. Sharp tongue, quick to get defensive, never the gentle and agreeable type. But I liked that about her, at least in the beginning. Felt like dating a firecracker. You knew you were alive. But lately, that spark turned into something more like napalm. Things started getting weird about 4 months ago. Out of nowhere, she got obsessed with girls' nights. And I don't mean once a month wine and chat. I'm talking every other weekend, all dolled up like she was heading to audition for The Bachelor. Lipstick I'd never seen before. Heels taller than my patience. Don't wait up, she'd say with a smirk, like she was daring me to ask where she was going. At first, I chalked it up to a midlife glow-up. She turned 38 in March and suddenly decided to start living her truth, whatever that meant. I didn't question it much. I work a demanding job and figured, hey, maybe she just needed a release. We'd been through some stress, her job wasn't going great, and I'd been distant at times. I'll own that. But then there was the phone. Always on silent. Always face down. Bathroom breaks with her phone in tow like it was an oxygen tank. I noticed the password had changed, something I only realized when I went to grab it to check the weather one morning and got hit with a Face ID not recognized. Weird, right? Still, I didn't say anything. Not yet. Maybe I was naive. Maybe I didn't want to believe the obvious. But my gut? Oh, it was screaming. So about 3 weeks ago, we're sitting on the couch, she's watching some trashy reality show, and I'm pretending to care. I glance over, and I catch this smirk on her face as she's texting. You know the kind. Not of this meme is funny smirk, but of this guy just said something flirty, and I liked it smirk. I asked, casually, what's so funny? She locked her phone faster than a bank vault and said, just Emma sending me pictures of her drunk cat again. Okay. Weirdly specific. But fine. Next day, I come home early from work. Supposed to be a half day. Her car's in the driveway, but no answer when I call out. I walk into the bedroom, and she's sitting on the edge of the bed, facing away, phone in hand, whispering, like she's in a damn Cold War spy movie. I knock on the door frame. She jumps like she's been shot, turns around and goes, Jesus, don't sneak up on me like that. I ask who she was talking to. She snaps, my mom. She's having a hard time. Except, plot twist, her mom's been in Spain for 2 weeks with her sisters, no Wi-Fi, no international plan. I knew this because I helped her mom set up her damn travel itinerary. I didn't press it right then. I wanted to see how far she'd go. Call it the calm before the storm. I just said, hope she feels better, and kissed her cheek. She flinched. That night, I lay in bed wide awake while she slept like a baby, probably dreaming about Emma's cat. I knew. I just didn't know yet. It happened on a Tuesday. I'll never forget it, because it was so damn mundane. I got home early again, construction site shut down for weather, and she was out, supposedly running errands. I wasn't trying to snoop. Swear to God. But her iPad was on the kitchen counter, and I saw a text pop up. Her messages were synced. Just a preview. A name I didn't recognize, Nico Jim. The message? Last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about your thighs. My stomach dropped so fast it should have come with a parachute. Now I'm standing there like a statue, trying to process if Nico Jim is a personal trainer or the kind of guy who trains personal parts, if you catch my drift. I tapped the message. Big mistake, or maybe the best one I ever made. Whole thread full of late-night sexts, shirtless pics of some musclehead who looked like he drinks protein and disrespect for breakfast, and a timeline that went back 2 months. It started out with some flirty, you're so funny messages and escalated into, well, a whole lot more. Pictures. Voice notes. A video I couldn't bring myself to open. I sat there, staring at it, heart pounding so hard it was like my chest was trying to punch its way out. All those girls' nights? She wasn't out with Emma. She was with Nico Jim. And suddenly everything made sense. The lies, the smirks, the defensiveness. I felt like the biggest fool in the state. But I wasn't about to blow up over texts. Not yet. I wanted her to say it. She walked in around 6 p.m., smiling like she didn't have a nuclear bomb ticking in her purse, holding a bag of groceries like she was June Cleaver. I helped her put them away, played it cool, asked about her day. She gave me the usual surface-level garbage. Trader Joe's was a zoo. Emma says hi. God, my back is killing me. I let her get settled. We ate dinner. Watched an episode of that show she liked. And then, as the credits rolled, I muted the TV and said, "So, who's Nico?" The color drained out of her face like I'd just asked her to solve a calculus problem in Mandarin. She froze. "What?" I saw the messages. "On your iPad." Dead silence. Then she launched into this scatterbrained performance worthy of a Razzie. "He's just a guy from the gym." It was nothing. Just flirting. I didn't think it would matter. It wasn't serious. I was feeling lonely. I didn't mean for it to get that far. Oh, so it did get that far. Her eyes flicked, just for a second, then she goes full gaslight. "I mean, I didn't sleep with him if that's what you're implying." That was a lie, and not even a good one. Her text thread could have been submitted as a short erotic novel. I asked, "So what?" All those late nights out were just cardio and conversation. She started yelling at me for invading her privacy, for not trusting her, for spying. The usual deflection, greatest hits. She said, and I quote, "Maybe if you paid more attention to me, I wouldn't have needed attention from someone else." Yeah, that one hit me like a freight train, blaming me for her getting her squats in at someone else's apartment. I didn't yell back, just stood up, looked her in the eye, and said, "Thanks for confirming." Then I left the room. I spent that night on the couch. Didn't sleep much, just stared at the ceiling, listening to her move around upstairs like she was pacing the guilt out of her system. At some point, I heard her crying. Maybe that used to mean something to me. But at that moment, all I felt was this cold, clean detachment. Like I'd finally stepped out of the fog and could see everything for what it really was. Next morning, she tried a new approach. Came downstairs in one of those oversized tees she knew I liked, acting like we could maybe just rewind everything. She sat next to me with this soft, remorseful tone. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I swear it was just one time. I felt invisible, and he noticed me. That's all it was." Right. One time. I guess all the other messages were just imaginative fiction, huh? I asked her point blank. "Was it just once?" She hesitated. That little pause before the lie. Then nodded. "Yes. Just once." I hated myself afterward. I didn't bother arguing. I just said, "Okay." Because I knew better than to chase truth from someone who couldn't stop moving the goalposts. Every hour was a new version of the story. The only constant was her guilt, or at least her discomfort about being caught. That day, I started making lists. Bank accounts, legal documents, things that used to be ours now being sorted into mine and hers. I hadn't said the D word out loud yet, but mentally, I'd already started packing. Funny thing is, she still kept texting Nico after that. Just deleted the messages. But I'd already set up message forwarding from the iPad to my phone. She never noticed. I saw everything. She didn't stop because she regretted it. She just got sneakier. A few days later, she says she's going out with the girls again. Yeah, same script, different lie. At this point, I'm practically a ghost in my own marriage, just walking around collecting proof. I tell her, "Cool, have fun," while I sit on the couch with the iPad like I'm about to watch the Super Bowl. And sure enough, right on cue, a message from Nico, "Can't wait to taste you again," followed by a location pin drop. I didn't even feel angry. I felt insulted. Like she thought I was that dumb. Like she couldn't be bothered to even try being a better liar. She didn't respect me enough to be clever, just lazy, drunk on attention, thinking her husband was too slow to catch on. That night, she doesn't come home until 3:14 a.m. I know the exact time because I was wide awake, sitting in the kitchen drinking bourbon like it was going to explain the universe to me. She walks in, smelling like cologne that isn't mine, trying to sneak upstairs without a sound. I call out from the dark, "Good run with the girls?" She flinches so hard I thought she was going to drop her purse. Doesn't say a word, just freezes. Like maybe if she stayed still long enough, I'd lose interest and walk away. I didn't. I just stared at her and said, "You're done lying, right? Or do you want to keep trying for an Oscar?" She stood there, mouth open, nothing coming out. Eventually, she just muttered, "I'm sorry," and went upstairs. No tears. No drama. Just sorry. It was the quietest confirmation I'd ever heard. And that was it for me. The next morning, I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I didn't cry. I just made eggs. She came down around 10 a.m., looking like hell, puffy eyes, yesterday's makeup still hanging on for dear life. She sat across from me at the table like we were still some married couple just having a rough week. She said, "We need to talk." I said, "Yeah, we do. But not right now. I've got things to take care of." Truth was, I'd already met with a lawyer that morning. Got up early, packed a bag, and stored it in the trunk of my car before she even woke up. My name was already off a couple joint accounts, and I'd canceled her card from the one I opened solo. I wasn't being vengeful, I was being surgical. Clean. Controlled. She tried to talk again around lunch, going on about how she didn't know what she wanted, that maybe we could reset, maybe go to therapy. I let her talk. Nodded when appropriate. I didn't say no. I just didn't say anything. Because at that point, her words didn't mean a damn thing. I realized the sound of her voice had become white noise. A dull hum of excuses and rewrites. Later that evening, I got a hotel room for the weekend. Didn't tell her where. I just left a note on the table. Don't call. Don't text. I'll be back Monday to talk logistics. This isn't emotional. It's necessary. That was the first night I slept through the whole night in weeks. Alone. In a hotel bed. And man, it was peaceful. Sunday night, I got about a dozen texts from her. Half were, I miss you. The other half were guilt-laced monologues about how she's broken, how she feels like a monster, how she never stopped loving me. She even threw in a, you're the only man I ever really trusted. Funny how people remember loyalty when they run out of people to cheat with. Then she tried the sentimental route. Sent me a picture of us from a trip to Big Sur years ago. Said she looked at that photo every day. I stared at it for a full minute before I deleted it. I wasn't mad. I was just done. Monday rolled around. I walked into the house like it was a job site I'd been called to demolish. She was waiting in the living room, hair brushed, makeup on, like that was gonna fix what she broke. She tried to hug me. I stepped back. That was when she knew it was real. We sat down. I laid it out straight. No rage, no accusations, just facts. I told her I'd already spoken to a divorce attorney. I wasn't interested in therapy, reconciliation, or playing the long game of earning back trust. I'd seen the receipts. I'd felt the betrayal. And I'd found clarity. She asked if we could at least try. I said, you already tried. Just not with me. After I told her it was over, she flipped. The tears dried up like someone shut off the sprinkler system, and out came the accusations. This is what you wanted anyway, isn't it? You've been emotionally checked out for months. You're just using this as an excuse to leave without looking like the bad guy. She even threw in, you don't know what it's like to feel invisible every day. And I just sat there, hands folded, letting her wind herself up like a cheap toy. Because honestly, she wasn't wrong about the emotional distance, but that was the result of her cheating, not the cause. I told her, you had a choice. You could have talked to me, screamed at me, told me you were unhappy. But instead, you let some dude at the gym rearrange your morals. Yeah, that one landed. She stormed off, slammed a door, screamed something muffled about, you never see me. I didn't chase her. I just started writing out what we needed to separate. Bills, the dogs, the house, furniture. It wasn't about being cold. It was about being clear. Later that night, she calmed down. Tried to play it soft again. Said she'd move out if I really wanted her to, but asked if we could do it quietly, no lawyers, no drama. I looked her dead in the eye and said, I'll be as quiet as your phone was that night you were with him. She didn't respond. The next week felt like breaking down a life in slow motion. We were living together, technically, but it felt more like two strangers Airbnb the same house. We communicated like roommates, brief, transactional, and dead behind the eyes. She took the guest room, which she tried to make look like some kind of emotional exile. But let's be real, she was still texting Nico. I knew because she forgot her iPad was still synced. Amateur hour. I didn't say anything. I was past caring about the latest chapter in her personal romance novel. Instead, I met with the lawyer again and started paperwork. We were in a no-fault state, but I still had to list irreconcilable differences with the kind of passive-aggressive precision only legal jargon can provide. When I handed her the papers, she stared at them like I just handed her a grenade. This is really happening, she said, like I hadn't been sleeping at the Hampton Inn for 3 weekends in a row. Yeah, I said. It's been happening. You just didn't notice. She didn't cry this time. She just sat down and quietly asked, do you hate me? I thought about it. No, I said, but I don't trust you. And I definitely don't like who you've become. That one hit harder than yelling ever could. Sometimes, disappointment makes a deeper cut than rage. We agreed she'd move out by the end of the month. She'd take her car, half the joint account, and most of the kitchen gadgets she was weirdly attached to. I told her she could keep the air fryer. Petty? Maybe. But that thing was my territory. Once she was out of the house, the silence was deafening at first. No arguing. No awkward hallway passings. No perfume lingering in the air. Just me, two dogs, and the constant hum of my own thoughts. First night alone. I opened a beer, sat on the back porch, and waited to feel something dramatic. Anger, sadness, maybe a tear or two. But nothing came. Just this strange, clean feeling. Like my brain had finally shut off the emergency sirens and started playing soft jazz. The dogs adapted fast. They didn't ask questions, didn't take sides, didn't seem to care that we were now a three-man wolf pack. Dogs don't fake loyalty. I started hitting the gym again. Not in a revenge body kind of way. More like I needed to sweat out every ounce of the bitterness. I also started sleeping like a corpse, which was new. Guess it's easier to rest when you're not subconsciously wondering if your spouse is out with Emma. A couple buddies reached out, some with sympathy, others with beer. One even joked, "Bet you won't miss her watching Love Island at full volume." He wasn't wrong. And the house. It felt different. Not empty. Just honest. Like for the first time in a while, the walls weren't lying anymore. She texted a few times. Little things. "Hope you're okay. Saw something that reminded me of you." I didn't block her, but I also didn't reply. There wasn't anything left to say that wouldn't just open wounds that were finally starting to scab over. It took a few weeks, but one night I caught myself laughing. Real, chest-deep laughing, at some dumb movie on TV. And it hit me. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living again. Without someone constantly making me question myself. Without a relationship that felt more like a negotiation than a partnership. And that's when I started thinking about the lessons. Because if I was going to go through the emotional meat grinder, I damn well better come out with something worth carrying. Lesson 1. Trust is a privilege, not a permanent status. You don't get to keep it just because you had it once. You protect it, or you lose it. Lesson 2. Love doesn't excuse lies. No matter how long you've been together, no matter how complicated things get, if someone's more comfortable hiding things from you than talking to you, you're not in a partnership. You're in a performance. And lesson 3. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. I spent months twisting myself in knots to justify behavior I knew was shady, all because I wanted to believe she'd never actually betray me. Turns out, believing in someone harder than they believe in themselves is a losing bet. So yeah, it hurt like hell, but it also cleared the slate. And I'm starting to realize I'd rather be alone with peace than together in pieces. Once the dust settled and the paperwork was officially filed, people started asking the inevitable. So, what's next? For a while, my answer was dinner and a movie, solo. I wasn't rushing back into the dating pool. Hell, I didn't even want to dip a toe in. I wasn't scared. I just liked the quiet. Liked the way I could walk into my house and know exactly what energy I was going to get. Mine. But little things started to shift. I signed up for a woodworking class, always wanted to build stuff with my hands that didn't require a spreadsheet. I started traveling again. Solo road trips, long drives with good music, and no deadlines. One weekend, I went camping just to sit under the stars and remember that the world's still wide and wild. I also started journaling, not the Dear Diary type, but just thoughts, reflections, truths I never gave myself space to write before. And somewhere between page 10 and 20, I noticed something. I stopped writing about her. That's when I knew I was really healing. Not because I'd forgotten, but because I'd finally stopped replaying the same betrayal reel in my head. I started thinking about dating again, not seriously, just the idea of it. What I'd want, what I wouldn't tolerate. And for once, the idea didn't fill me with dread or bitterness. It filled me with curiosity. A few months after she moved out, I ran into her at the grocery store. Of all places, she looked smaller somehow. Not physically, but like someone whose world had shrunk. Eyes tired, smile strained. She gave me a polite nod. I gave one back. No awkward hug. No forced conversation. Just two people who used to be something, now standing between canned soup and cereal. She asked, "How have you been?" I said, "Good. Really good, actually." She looked down, nodded, then said, "I'm glad. I'm truly sorry, you know." And for the first time, I believed her. But the thing is, I didn't need it anymore. Not the apology, not the regret. I'd already moved on in the ways that mattered. I didn't wish her pain or karma. I just wished her somewhere else. Somewhere not connected to me. We wrapped up the small talk, went our separate ways, and I left that store feeling a little bit taller. Not because I'd won anything, but because I finally understood that closure doesn't always come in a dramatic confrontation or a tearful monologue. Sometimes, it's just knowing you wouldn't trade places. Not for anything. That night, I poured a drink, turned on some music, and sat on my porch. The same one I'd sulked on all those weeks ago. But this time I smiled. Because I knew I was free. If you're reading this and you're in that place, the quiet dread, the pit in your stomach that won't go away, I've got a few things to say. First off, you're not crazy. That gut feeling? It's not paranoia. It's your instincts finally screaming loud enough to cut through the noise. Listen to it. Second, love does not mean sacrificing your self-respect. You can care about someone deeply and still choose to walk away. Sometimes walking away is the love, just redirected toward yourself. Third, you don't need their permission to be hurt. They'll tell you it wasn't that bad, or it didn't mean anything, or that you're overreacting. Screw that. You know what you felt. You know where your lines were drawn. If they cross them, it's on them, not you. Also, healing? It's not some big dramatic moment. It's quiet. It's the first time you sleep a full night. It's laughing without guilt. It's driving past a place that used to trigger you and realizing you don't care anymore. And lastly, don't waste your time hating them. Hate is still a form of attachment. Let go. Take your lessons, pack your pride, and build something better. Even if that something is just you, sitting alone on your porch, whiskey in hand, watching the sun set on a chapter that no longer serves you. You'll be all right. Better than all right.